If you're over 40, you train, you eat reasonably well, but you still feel tired all the time, well, let me tell you, it's not age or laziness. A lot of men over 40 come to me and they say the same thing. I train consistently, I'm eating well, and I'm sleeping kind of decently, but I still feel tired all the time. But in today's video, you're going to understand the real reason why that is happening and what actually fixes that. And I guarantee, if you watch this video until the end and if you follow these 5 things that I'm going to tell you, you're going to improve your energy levels, your libido, your insulin levels, your cortisol levels, your testosterone levels, because somehow they are all related. But for the sake of it, we're just going to talk about specifically about energy and why you're struggling with fatigue. So the number one reason might be blood sugar and insulin instability. And why is that? First of all, you're starting the day with carbs and you're having a lot of snacks. These two are destroying your insulin. And insulin is a storage hormone. What it means is that every time you eat, you spike your insulin, then you're going to have a crash. This will affect your energy. And what I see most of the time is people starting the day with toast and butter, with orange juice, or with a croissant, or with cookies or pastries. And the problem is that this is just refined carbs. This is just pure sugar and carbs, no protein. This is massively spike your insulin, and then you're going to have a crash. You're going to have low energy a couple of hours later. Now, how can you fix this? You're going to fix this by breaking your fast. Your first meal is not going to have any carbs. You want to leave carbs to later in the day because that's when you want to spike your insulin. Later in the day, you spike your insulin, you're going to be relaxed, but that's fine because then you're going to sleep. So that's actually the best time for you to have carbs. It's in the evening. Your first meal is not going to have any carbs. Think protein, fats, and fiber only. Eggs, cottage cheese, avocado, couple of nuts, maybe some berries, that's fine. It still has a lot of fiber, some carbs, but when I say carbs, it's like the bad type of carbs, like cookies, pastries, bread, juices, all these things. So you're going to cut all of these and you're going to have protein, fats, and fiber for breakfast, and you're not going to have any snack in between. You're going to have 3 main meals. First meal, second meal, third meal, no snacks in between, nothing. No fruits, no healthy protein bars, no cappuccinos, nothing. Then you eat, I would say maybe 4 or 5 hours later, I don't know, your lunchtime, 12 p.m., 1 p.m., protein and fats. Then you can put a little bit of carbs, but not a lot. You can put maybe a little bit of potato, a little bit of rice, but you want to prioritize again protein, fiber, and vegetables, because what most people after lunch, you're working, let's say from 9 to 5, or you have commitments in the afternoon, what's going to happen is that if you eat carbs for lunch at 1 or 2, that means at 3 or 4 p.m., you're going to have an energy crash. So the more you minimize carbs, the better, especially if you're not training. And if you're training, you want to have carbs after the workout, because that's the best time that your body will make use of those carbs to actually promote muscle growth and recovery. So by fixing your first meal and avoiding snacks, you're going to have less insulin spikes, which will lead you to burn more fat, not to have that energy crash that you usually have, and it will also prevent brain fog. So remember, no carbs first meal, minimal carbs the second meal, a little bit more carbs on the last meal. Which brings me to point number 2, which is loss of muscle and lack of protein. They are connected. So one thing that I want you to understand is after 35, 37, 40, usually mostly after 40, it gets a little bit faster, we have what we call sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is the loss of muscle with age. What it means is that every single year you're losing muscle. And I know it's a bit drastic, but it is like that. And I feel that as well. You're going to feel that. And that's one of the reasons that you're probably struggling with low energy, which is after, as you get close to 40, it depends, of course. It's not like you get to 40 and you start losing muscle. This starts after 30, by the way. If you don't have the proper lifestyle habits, if you're not getting strength training, if you're getting enough protein, you're losing muscle. So you can fight this decline, you can fight sarcopenia by having more protein. Now, when we say protein, it's not like we're talking to bodybuilder guys that need to build huge amount of muscle, but you need to understand muscle is life. Muscle is the biggest organ that you have, and it's the only thing that's going to prevent you from having injuries, from aging, from losing testosterone. So you want to build muscle. You need at least 1 gram per pound of goal body weight, or around, let's say, 1.8 to 2 grams per kilo of goal body weight. So let's say if you're 75 kilos, you want to aim for at least 150 grams of protein per day. If you're 80 kilos, you want to aim for 160 grams of protein per day. So the minimum can be a little bit less, The maximum, I would say 2.2, 2.4, that's already excessive, but a sweet spot, 2 grams per kilo of goal body weight. Protein is the number one thing that will make you prevent muscle loss. And one of the possible reasons why you're struggling with low energy might be this gradual decline in muscle due to lack of protein. So the only way you're going to fight this decline of muscle and energy is by increasing your protein intake. Steak, eggs, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, chicken, turkey breast, salmon, tuna, sardines, all of these great protein sources. So you want to prioritize these in your diet. Eat more protein, track your protein. I'm not even asking you to track your calories. Just track your calories and your protein and you're going to be good to go. If you're in a slight calorie deficit and if you're managing your protein intake, this will ensure that you're losing fat in a sustainable way without compromising lean muscle and without affecting your energy levels. Which brings me to point number 3, which is high cortisol. And the key takeaway here is basically cortisol steals energy. By the way, cortisol is a stress hormone. It's good to have some stress. So I'm not saying you don't need to try to reduce all the cortisol, because it's important to have cortisol. When you wake up, you have a little bit of cortisol to wake up, to be awake, to be alert. So you need that. There are certain times of the day where you need cortisol. Like when you're training, you need cortisol. Like you're awake, you're lifting weights. So there are certain times of the day that you need cortisol. The problem is that most people are overstressed nowadays. So they are constantly with a lot of cortisol in their bodies. And when cortisol is high, testosterone will inevitably be lower. Poor recovery, work stress, overtraining, all of these lead to high cortisol. And I see this a lot with overachievers. I have a client, for example, his name is Ruben. He's 41 years old. And he came to me, he's a business owner. And he came to me like great physical conditioning. He was doing triathlon, running, cycling, swimming, but struggling with belly fat and low energy. And that was exactly the problem. His cortisol levels were through the roof. Testosterone was low because he was putting in a lot of reps. He was growing the business. He was working out 6 to 7 days a week. And what I told him is the only way you're going to fix that is by doing a little bit less, because you need to manage your cortisol levels. It's not about doing more and more and more. Sometimes it's about doing less, but in a smart way. So we decreased his training load. Instead of doing cycling, swimming, running every single day, we do it maybe once or twice a week, incorporating 3 smart strength sessions per week. And then, of course, sprinkling that with his favorite activities so that it doesn't compromise his triathlon. In order for you to change your current situation, you need to change certain things, certain behaviors that you're doing, because if you keep doing the same, that's the law of insanity. If you keep doing the same, you're going to get the same results. So that's what I told him. Like, you love triathlon, that's totally fine. But if you want to change the belly fat and if you want to improve your energy, we need to do some kind of natural hormonal manipulation by trying to decrease your cortisol, improving your testosterone, by training in a smarter way, doing a little bit less. So that's why you can still train hard and feel exhausted, because high cortisol suppresses sleep, suppresses testosterone, which will lead to low energy. Which brings me to point number 4, which is micronutrient deficiencies. And when I say micronutrient deficiencies, it's not that you need more supplements. You probably don't need any supplements, but that's not the topic for this video. The 4 main micronutrients that are involved in energy production are zinc, magnesium, selenium, and sodium. So you need to see these 4 minerals and see if you have them in your body or if something is lacking. Are you having enough sodium in your diet? Pink Himalayan salt or Celtic sea salt. Don't drink just water, because if you're just drinking plain water, you're flushing. You need a little bit of sodium. So are your sodium levels adequate? Are you getting enough selenium in your diet? Eat 1 or 2 or even 3 Brazil nuts per day maximum, because it supports testosterone, it supports immune function, it supports energy. Are you getting enough magnesium glycinate at night? 200 to 400 milligrams before sleeping. It will improve sleep, therefore it will improve your energy levels. Are you having enough zinc? 20 to 30 milligrams per day. Are you eating enough red meat? That is a great source of creatine and zinc that supports testosterone and energy production. So as you see, I'm not giving you any supplement. I'm not telling you don't take a selenium supplement, don't take a zinc supplement. Just fix your lifestyle, fix your food, fix your meal timing. Eat more steak, eat more eggs, some Brazil nuts here and there. You don't need supplements first. What you need is the right foods, because most of these deficiencies, they don't show up as disease, they show up as low energy. And low energy is a sign of inflammation in your body that starts to affect brain fog, your mood, your sleep gradually. These are the first signs of deficiencies in your body So you want to make sure that you have all these 4 minerals properly addressed. Which brings me to point number 5, which is caffeine timing and circadian disruption. Now, caffeine is a big topic. And as you see, I just finished here my coffee, and it's currently now, it's 10:30 a.m. and this is my second coffee of the day. Now, I woke up at 5 a.m. Just to give you an example, you don't need more caffeine. What you need is strategic caffeine timing so that you understand when you should be having caffeine, when you shouldn't have caffeine. And what I see nowadays is people relying on caffeine. Like I go outside at 4, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and I see people drinking lattes and cappuccinos and double espresso. These will lead to low energy. Why? Because you think that you're able to sleep, but you're not able to sleep, all right? So when I say this, you're able to sleep, but your restorative phases are not the same. You're not going to have the same REM sleep. You're not going to have the same restorative deep sleep that your body actually needs in order to produce growth hormone and testosterone and fix your energy. Now, in terms of caffeine timing, what I do is very simple. I don't have caffeine the first 60 minutes of the day. That means if I wake up at 5:30, more or less on average at 5:30, I don't have my first coffee until 6:37 7 a.m. Before that, I just drink water with a little bit of salt, lemon. Then I have my caffeine 60 to 90 minutes upon waking up. Then I might have a second coffee at 10 or 10:30, something like that. So 3 hours later. And that's basically it. I don't have more caffeine after 12. And why is this related to circadian regulation? Because if you're drinking caffeine after 1, 2, 3, 4 p.m., caffeine has a half-life time of 6 to 8 hours. What it means is that it remains on your bloodstream. If you're drinking caffeine at 4 p.m., that means at midnight, 8 hours later, you still have caffeine in your bloodstream, even if you don't notice. So by adjusting your caffeine consumption, you're going to better manipulate your energy levels. And why is that? Because when you wake up, you naturally release cortisol and you're going to be naturally awake. So what happens is that if you wake up and you drink coffee straight upon waking up, you're going to massively spike that cortisol and you're going to have a big crash later on. And you want to fix this by you wake up, you let your cortisol levels increase gradually, and then when they start to decrease, which is after 60 to 90 minutes, after 60 to 90 minutes upon waking up, they start to decrease. Then you want to have your caffeine because then you're going to spike again a bit your cortisol and you're going to have stable cortisol levels throughout the day that will sustain your energy. And no caffeine after 12 so that you maximize REM and deep sleep, which are the restorative phases of your sleep. If you go to a coffee shop, if you're going to meet someone, just stick to decaf. Order a decaf sparkling water, but avoid caffeine after 1 p.m. maximum. So as you see, energy improves when you fix the system. It's not just one habit. It's not more supplements. It's not more HIIT classes or more cardio. It's simply understanding how your physiology works, how your hormones work, so that you learn how to ride the wave and properly manage this in a natural way. Fix your first meal, less carbs, more carbs in the evening when you're ready to relax, protein, strength training, build muscle, fix nutritional deficiencies, eat more real whole foods, steak, eggs, avocado, Brazil nuts, selenium, zinc. Fix all these sources. They will improve your energy levels. Fix your sleep and your stress levels. Make sure that you're meditating like 5, 7, 10 minutes. Control your cortisol levels so that it doesn't interfere with your energy production. Learn how to manage your caffeine timing so that you naturally manipulate your cortisol levels without feeling that energy crash later on. And if you follow these things that I told you, you're going to improve massively your energy levels. And in case you want to understand a bit more about cortisol, just check this video right here where I dive in detail on cortisol and its effects in your body. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you on the next one.